So I think there are a number of areas that people have to think through as it relates to sustainability and the management of real assets over time. One is the decision around technology. When one makes an investment into real assets, that's overall typically a longer duration. But it's important to kind of understand in the short to medium term which technology is going to be necessary to implement over the course of the management of those real assets. And you have to be able to find that intersection between kind of that short-term decision as well as kind of the long-term management of those real assets. A second element is probably managing through volatility. It's not going to be a straight line as to kind of how sustainability plays out over the course of managing one's real assets. And I think being able to kind of manage through that volatility is going to be critical as one looks to oversee the management of those assets. And then I think the third one is around measurement. People question, is an asset sustainable? Is it not sustainable? And being able to kind of concretely measure the sustainable virtues of assets is going to be very important. Now that's improved quite a bit over the past several years, but I still think there's room for improvement in being able to kind of normalize those measurements. But being able to kind of stay up on the curve on that and being able to, again, do that in a very concrete way will be critical. Yeah, I mean, so this is probably is important regardless of sustainability. It's regardless of some of these kind of external factors. But when one manages real assets, I think it's really important to understand the balance sheet, making sure that balance sheets are healthy, that they have reasonable amounts of leverage, because volatility will occur. And being able to manage through volatility really requires a very strong and healthy balance sheet in the short to long term. Another one is cost competition. You need your assets to be cost competitive with others. It cannot just only rely on the good times to be successful, because there will inevitably be tougher times, softer times. And so being able to be cost competitive relative to the broader marketplace will be really important. And then probably the third thing is not solely relying on regulatory tailwinds to make something successful. You can look at regulatory tailwinds as an accelerant to a business model, but not key to the viability of a business model. And so making sure that you sensitize regarding those regulatory kind of oversight and regulatory benefits will be helpful as well. I think there's a lot of different areas that can be interesting, but I guess a few to kind of name. We think the areas around circular economy is very interesting. So working around themes like recycling, waste reduction, that the efficient use of resources. There's going to be a lot of innovative business models that come out of that, a lot of infrastructure that comes out of that, and a lot of capital efficient business models that will come out of that. So that's one area. Another area is sustainable agriculture. There's only increasing demand for food globally. There's limited amounts of arable land, and our ability to kind of produce those commodities, produce food in a more sustainable way is going to be critical going forward, not just for the end user and the health, but also the kind of preservation of our environment in doing so. And then maybe the third one that we think is kind of interesting is around the build out of renewables and supply chain and the secure production of energy. And that will involve investing into manufacturing, investing into services, investing behind themes like the Inflation Reduction Act that can, I think, really see a lot of tailwinds, but there's only going to be increased focus on the resource security and the onshoring of those supply chains, and I think there's a big investment theme around that as well.